Hi, everybody. Welcome to Baphomet's Lounge. I'm your host, the incomparable NSS, and thank you so much for, watching these episodes. So, before we get started, I'm going to do the voodoo on you guys and say, if you're watching on YouTube, please smash the like button, click subscribe. If you're watching on Instagram or on Facebook, please like or follow NSS or Baphomet's Lounge on Facebook, or follow Baphomet's Lounge on Instagram. Like, comment, blah, share, what have you. I would greatly appreciate your support. So, as we're going down the line to more and more of my top 10 favorite bands of all time, the last batch have a major discography. And these may get a little intense. Right now, we're going to do another one of my top 10 favorite bands, which is the Scottish hard rockers Nazareth. And I first got into Nazareth back in like 88, 89. I bought the album, the vinyl of Hair of the Dog. And I was just like blown away. I'm like, man, these guys are heavy. This is great stuff, man. And I picked up a CD that was a A&M Records 40th or 45th anniversary, whatever, anniversary. 45th anniversary, something that was like a greatest hits of Nazareth. And when I got that album, I was floored at how much of their music transcended different genres. There was like poppier stuff, there was ballad stuff, there was even almost like borderline dancey stuff, there was heavy stuff, and I started digging into them. And I actually like blew my income tax in like the early 90s. I blew like my income tax refund and bought like their entire discography. I've since repurchased the discography because they've released stuff as remasters. And, it's, what can I say? When you love music, you're addicted. So I also had the opportunity, and I'm going to share it with you guys, to interview them before one of the last time I saw them live, and I'll get to that in a bit. It was never broadcast. It was for a website I was working on called Infinity Music out of India, and the guy that I was running it with, we kind of had a falling out, so that never got displayed on Infinity Music. But I'll include that interview, and those guys are hilarious, and they're really down to earth, and I don't know what the fuck they're saying. So if you can understand them, good on you. But let's take it from the top. Nazareth in 1971, the debut album. Nazareth, self-titled, eponymously titled. This one's okay. Not really a particularly strong album. And later on in 71, they released their second album, Exercises, which was a little bit peculiar as well. It kind of, the first start of Woke Up This Morning was on that album. And then there was an interesting track called 1692, the Glencoe Massacre. And if you ever had a chance to get to Glencoe, it's gorgeous. I was there, and it's absolutely breathtaking. But a peculiar album, really for collectors only. It wasn't until 72 when they wound up opening up for Deep Purple, and Roger Glover took an interest in them, and he started to produce them. And their third album, Razzmanazz, is when it all came together. Bam, out of the chute, Razzmanazz. Getting evil. Then Alcatraz, Vigilante Man, a re-recording of Woke Up This Morning that was heavier. Night Woman, Bad Boy, Sold My Soul, Too Bad, Too Sad, and then like Broken Down Angel fucking was their big single, and just power, just a great album. This is where Nazareth as a band, sort of coagulated to what would become Nazareth. Followed up in 73 with Loud and Proud. Boom, Go Down Fightin'. Boom, Not Faking It. Boom, Turn on Your Receiver. Boom, Teenage Nervous Breakdown by Lowell George. Freewheeler, kabang! This Flight Tonight. They take the Joni Mitchell classic, it just blows your mind. Even Joni Mitchell said, you know what? This ain't my song anymore. This is a Nazareth song. Child of the Sun, and then a heavy, heavy version of The Ballad of Hollis Brown by Bob Dylan. Stellar album. After that was 75's Rampart. This is where it's not as strong of an album. Silver Dollar Forger, Glad When You're Gone, Loved and Lost, Shanghaied in Shanghai, Shanghaied in Shanghai, Jet Lag, Living in an Overnight Bag, Light My Way, Sunshine, which is gorgeous, fantastic song, and then a version of Shapes of Things by the Yardbirds that is okay. It's got this air, and in the ending it's called Space Safari, and it's okay. I'm not a big fan of this album. It didn't really tickle my fancy, but in 75, again, Hair of the Dog comes out. Hair of the Dog, Miss Misery. There's a track called Guilty. In the UK, they didn't release the singles on an album. So the big hit single off this was Love Hurts. So the UK version had the song Guilty by Randy Newman. In the American version, it was replaced with Love Hurts because the Americans put the singles on the albums. Then Changing Times, just heavy. Beggar's Day by Niles Lofgren, which is followed by Rose and the Heather, two songs together, just because it's Beggar's Day. They've been doing that still for years. Whiskey Drinking Woman, and then Please Don't Judas Me, which actually Metal Church has redone in one of their recent albums. And then, of course, like I say, but the big hit single off this one was Love Hurts, which they play to this day, a song I could really live without. 76, they released Close Enough for Rock and Roll. Interesting album, and I talk about it with the band in the interview later on, but it starts out rough, man. Sent a telegram today! And Danny's shredding his vocal cords, and they actually used to open with that song many, many times. Telegram, which is a 4-part little piece, suite of songs. In part 2, they actually do a little bit of So You Want to Be a Rock and Roll Star by the Byrds. Then an instrumental called Vicky, Homesick Again, which is great. Vancouver Shakedown, they were always really big in Canada. Born Under the Wrong Side, Loretta. Carry Out Feelings, which I love this song. And it's it's a reggae song. It's very interesting. Again, the band is so they just morph into so many different genres. When you think you've nailed them down, they pull something like this on you. And Carry Out Feelings is great. Lift the Lid and You're the Violin. And a single off this album, which was released as a single, is a great track called My White Bicycle. It was an A-side. They never released it, or a B-side, or whatever it was. They never released it as an album track. My White Bicycle is a great, it's a reggae song, reggae-ish version song. No, this one was heavier. They did it later on acoustically. They do it more reggae-esque. The interesting thing is it was a remake from a band called Tomorrow, who had that original hit, and Steve Howe from Yes was the guitar player from Tomorrow for My White Bicycle. 76 is Playing the Game. This is kind of where I think it's a little bit of a downfall, not as powerful of an album. Somebody to Roll, Down Home, Flying, Waiting for the Man, Born to Love. I Want to Do Everything for You, bluesy track by Joe Tex that they used to play a lot. I Don't Want to Go On Without You, Wild Honey, and LA Girls. It's kind of a blah album. Not really much going on in that album for me, Playing the Game. The next album after that was Expect No Mercy, 77. And I'll never forget that because it's got this album cover with this like goblin or some evil barbarian warrior. He's got a knife and he's got these big horns thing, and he's going to cut, this guy in half. And they pointed it out to me when I met him. They said the problem with this cover is the guy's got his arm and he's going to bring the sword down and slice this person in half, but those horns that are on his helmet are going to basically slash his arms off. I thought that was interesting. This is an interesting album. Expect No Mercy, which is great, heavy track. Gone Dead Train. Shot Me Down is actually pretty good. Revenge is sweet. Give Me What's Mine. Kentucky Fried Blues is okay. New York Broken Toy, remake of Busted, which is really good. Place in Your Heart, which is a really cool country song, and All the King's Horses. It's an okay album. It's not particularly fantastic, but it's an okay album. It's 78's No Mean City, where the world actually explodes for me. And they get Zal Clemenson, and he was in the sensational Alex Harvey Band. And one of the big problems I felt with Nazareth as a four pieces, I think Manny Charlton, he reminds me a lot of Steve Howe in the sense that he's a brilliant guitar player, and he's actually a really good studio guy, and he knows how to make great sounds and great, just dense, layered ideas. But I never enjoyed him as a live guitar player because I just feel like he's too busy like working on this little thing here and not giving me some meat. So getting a guy in like Zal Clemenson, who's a stellar guitar player, and the two of them working together really made this dense. And this album is stellar. Just to get into it, power, we're here, check it out. Then an interesting track called May the Sunshine, real different, kind of folky and funky and just really cool. Simple Solution, heavy, balls out heavy. Star, which is just a beautiful sort of love ballad. And this is where I'm talking about with Manny Charlton, or was it Zal, one of the two, but there's a part where there's a feedback guitar going on and just like just holding on for like 10 minutes. It's an amazing part. Claim to Fame. What you claim to fame? Fucking back to the balls out. Whatever You Want, Babe. Love this song. And when I was going through my divorce, it was a track that really kept me sane. I used to just ride my bike and sing this song. Whatever you want, babe. Whatever you need. What's in It for Me? Heavy. And then No Mean City parts 1 and 2, which just balls out, killer. This album, this is like around this era is around my favorite Nazareth, which a lot of people may not agree with me, but I think that the songwriting and the production all came together in this era. And that's 1980s Malice in Wonderland. Big pop album for them. Jeff Skunk Baxter, who played with the Doobie Brothers, who played with Steely Dan, produced this album, and it's got a real Southern California vibe to it. I love this album. A lot of people don't. I know Manny Charlton never cared for it. He feels it was not a good album. He thinks that the album did a lot of rotation, but not of sales, is his argument. He thought it was a little soft. I disagree. I think it opens up with the big hit Holiday that they still play to this day. Showdown at the Border that I love. Talking to One of the Boys. Making a lot of noise. And it's one of my favorite album covers of all albums. That just fucked up cover of like these mannequin kids at a party. It's just wacky. Another single that they play a lot, Hearts Grown Cold. And actually Blackfoot, who toured with them a lot, do a version in one of their albums that's a little heavier, but this is more of a ballady. Hearts Grown Cold is great. Fast Cars, which is great. Big Boy, love that song. Talking About Love. Fallen Angel, another killer song. Ship of Dreams, great song. And Turning a New Leaf, which is the last song off this. Again, a more laid-back album. A lot of people don't care for it. I love the album. I really, really do. Followed up in 1980, they released The Full Circle. This is a mixed album for me. They start out great with Dress to Kill, which is just a straight poppy dance thing. At this point, Zal Clemenson's with the band, but John Locke had sort of joined from Spirit on keyboards. So Dress to Kill, wailing out with some keyboards. Another Year, Moonlight Eyes, Pop the Silo. Okay, Let Me Be Your Leader, an interesting sort of reggae-esque tune. We Are the People. Every Young Man's Dream I like. Little Part of You, which is it's not too bad. And then probably the worst track they've ever done in their life, and I don't know why they put it on this album, but they put the live version of the song Cocaine on here. I don't know why they did this. I hate the song to begin with. It just really breaks the stream of the album. I don't know why they do it. And then they end it with a song called Victoria that I always loved. Victoria, I still want more, yeah. But this is a mixed bag of an album. So then they come out in 81 with Snaz, which I guess was short for It's Naz. And this is where Zal Clemenson is left and Billy Rankin joins. And if you get a chance, check out the Billy Rankin's website. Chock full. It's like reading a novel. I mean, I'm a huge reader. I love reading about music. And what makes this so cool is it reads like a book. I mean, you just grab a tablet and just go to the website and go to, he's got it broken out sort of in chapters, but it's full multimedia. So he'll talk about something. We recorded this, or we did this, or we were on this TV show. And he'll have like an MTV YouTube video of it, or maybe you could listen to things, or he'll have a picture of things, and blah blah blah. And it was kind of interesting because he has like shots of say tour programs or whatever. And I kind of blew his mind because I noticed that Harvey and Corky produced a couple of the shows in the 80s when they toured. And little known fact, Harvey, Corky, and then later was Harvey, Corky, and Tice were the big promoters in Buffalo, New York. Well, that Harvey of the Harvey and Corky is none other than Harvey Weinstein. Yep, he was a big man in Buffalo, and actually did his leveraged his music promotion stuff into the movie business, and that's where he got started. But yeah, I said, that was Harvey Weinstein, and he was like, "Whoa, I met him! Wow." So here we go with the live album. Opens up with Telegram, Balls to the Wall. Then they do Razzmanazz, I Want to Do Everything for You, This Flight Tonight, Beggar's Day, Every Young Man's Dream, Hearts Grown Cold. Then they do fucking Cocaine again, live. Fuck, I don't want to hear. I heard in the last. I'm sorry. Before Hearts Grown Cold, they do Java Blues by Rick Danko, which I'm like, cool. I mean, it's kind of cool, but I'd rather hear another song than this new song that I'm like, meh. Then they do Cocaine, burp. Then they do Big Boy, Holiday, Dress to Kill, which is cool, Hair of the Dog, Expect No Mercy, and then they ended with Shapes of Things, which I'm like, eh. I got the double disc set from the thing, so they do Let Me Be Your Leader, they do Love Hurts, and then they end the show with Tush. Like, fuck, who cares? I don't want to hear that song. I didn't even like it, the ZZ Top version. They did 2 studio tracks on this, which was Juicy Lucy, and then they redid Morning Dew from their first album, which was kind of a weak version. They did it kind of like a bow, bow, dong, like a dancey upbeat version. And it was, that was one of the songs from that 40th anniversary greatest hits version, where I was like, whoa, this is kind of dancey. This is kind of interesting. Wow. And really, really kind of turned me on. And then the double disc set that I have actually includes Crazy, A Suitable Case for Treatment, which was a track that was on the heavy metal soundtrack that they recorded on that one. So 82, they come out with probably one of my favorite Nazareth albums, and it's 2XS. The reason being is it's pure unadulterated pop. Killer songwriting. I know some people don't care for it. I think it's brilliant. It opens up with Love Leads to Madness, which is stellar. Then The Boys in the Band, nice rocker. You Love Another, which is stellar. Then Gate Crash, which is great. And then a song called Games, which is fucking amazing. And when I saw Billy Rankin on Facebook, I friended him, or sent him a friend request, and I written somebody had said something. I think it was one of Pete Agnew's sons had mentioned like his favorite albums or something, and he had this album on there, and I said, dude, this version of Games, the song Games is just stellar and powerful. And Billy said, I agree, Noel, thank you, I will now accept your friend request. I was like, yes, Games did it for me. Back to the Trenches, Then the power pop song that's for backwards and couple skaters only at your roller rink, Dream On, which I love. Then Lonely in the Night, fantastic. Preservation, fantastic. Take the Rap, which is fantastic, and then ends with a really strange one called Mexico, which is like an acoustic song, and it just like sort of ends, and then there's like this kick drum, these drums sort of boom. It's a weird song, but what I love about it, again, what I've said before about songs that work in the context of an album, but not on their own, why you should listen to albums as a complete piece. This is another one of those great albums. Starts with Love Leads to Madness, ends with Mexico, and it takes you on a nice little journey that you'll really, really enjoy. 83. Another one of my favorite albums, an album that a lot of people hate because they feel it was too pop. Nazareth goes to MCA Records. They released this album called Sound Elixir. Billy Rankin has personally said on his website he hates this album. I love it. I think it's brilliant. All Night Radio, Milk and Honey, Whipping Boy, Rain on the Window, which is just fucking beautiful. One of the most beautiful songs ever. Backroom Boys, Why Don't You Read the Book? Iran, Rags to Riches, Local Still, and I guess the single that they had released at the time, Where Are You Now? Love this album. I know people don't, a lot of people don't care for it. I love it. 84, they released The Catch. Probably one of the dumbest album covers on the planet, but it's probably everyone's least favorite album. It's not one of my favorites, but it's not bad either. And start out with, they really tried to be poppy to the point of just too much, Party Down. They do a cool version of Ruby Tuesday by the Stones and Last Exit Brooklyn, Moondance, Love of Freedom, this month's Messiah, which they've actually been doing live lately, You Don't Believe in Us, Sweetheart Tree, and Road to Nowhere. Followed by 86's Cinema, which according to legend, was a lot of people were really into it. It was kind of heavy for the time, and they kind of went back. They recorded it in Michigan or something like that. But when the producer or the promoters and radio people or record labels found out that it was Nazareth, they thought they were dinosaurs and didn't want to push it. I think it's an okay album. A lot of the guy, I think Manny Charlton says this is one of his favorite albums. Doesn't really rock my boat, but it's okay. Cinema, Juliet, Just Another Heartache, Other Side of You, Hit the Fan, One from the Heart, Salty Salty, White Boy, and a veteran song. It's okay. It's 89 Snakes and Ladders that I think is the nadir of the band as far as production, as part of songwriting. Manny Charlton, Guns N' Roses were huge Nazareth fans, and they actually asked Manny Charlton to produce them. And Manny recorded some demo stuff, which has been released, if you've finally been released, with on some remasters and re-releases of Guns N' Roses' Appetite for Destruction. But Manny decided to record this album with them, and he left after this one and never came back. Animals, Lady Luck, Hanging On to a Dream, Piece of My Heart, and the Janis Joplin version, the Janis Joplin song, which you would think would sound actually cool with Danny singing, because he's got that raspy voice, but this one is not as strong. Maybe it's the arrangement. It could have been a really good version because of Danny's voice, but I think this version wasn't as strong. Trouble, The Key, Back to School, Girls, Donna Get Off the Crack, See You, See Me, and then a re-recording of a remake of Helpless by Neil Young, which is okay. If you pick up the remaster, they do a song called Winter of the Night that was a released as a single in Germany, and apparently Germany was always really big for Nazareth. That a weak album. It's 93, No Jive. They get back with Billy Rankin, and this was the first time I saw them live on this tour, and I'll hit that. This is a masterpiece. Starts out with Higher and Fire, Do You Want to Play House, right between the eyes, every time it rains, which is a pop hit if you ever heard one. Keeping Our Love Alive, Thinking Man's Nightmare, Cover Your Heart, pop hit. Lap of Luxury, Tell Me That You Love Me, which is the Rowan Tree is like the intro to it, and then they do Tell Me That You Love Me, Cry Wolf, and they re-record This Flight Tonight. And stellar album. 94's Move Me. This is a decent album, but it's decent. Let Me Be Your Dog, Can't Shake Those Shakes, Crack Me Up, Move Me, Steamroller, Stand By Your Beds, Rip It Up, Demon Alcohol, You Had It Coming, Bring It On Home to Mama, Burning Down, and then they do an orchestra version of Love Hurts. That you'll read about it in Manny's website, but there was a big falling out. Manny leaves even before the album, even before they can tour on it. They release the album, but there's a big falling out, so it was never properly toured on. It's a decent enough album. They toured relentlessly. Manny's gone. They picked up a young guy by the name of Jimmy Morrison, and they picked up a keyboard player who played with Stone the Crows, and his name escapes me right off the bat. I apologize. It'll come back. Ron Leahy. Ron Leahy, I believe. Leahy, Ron? Played with them. 99, they come out with Boogaloo. They've been talking about this coming out. They were going to call it N. Boogaloo, balls to the wall. Light Comes Down, Cheerleader, Lover Man, Open Up Woman, Talk, Nothing So Good, which is probably one of the top 10 songs they ever wrote. It's balls to the wall. And the intro, Jimmy Morrison's guitar playing is just fucking stellar. Party in the Kremlin, God Save the South, which was a track they used to do live, precursor to this album, and it's just slow. And it's just bluesy, evil. Robber and the Roadie, Waiting, and May Heaven Keep You. And this album, Daryl Sweet, longtime drummer, passes away just after the recording of this album. He died on tour. And, Pete Agnew's son Lee joins. The next album is 2002, Homecoming, which was live in Glasgow. It's a decent album. When the Lights Come Down, Razzmanazz, Miss Misery, Holiday, Dream On, Simple Solution, which was great to hear, My White Bicycle, which they, like I say, they do kind of a reggae-ass version, Walking By Yourself, which is, I think, a new song they wrote for this one, Bad Bad Boy, Hearts Grown Cold, Broken Down Angel, Whiskey Drinking Woman, Hair of the Dog, This Flight Tonight, Beggar's Day, and Love Hurts. Similar to a lot the sets that I would see them on this tour. They were touring throughout the 90s is kind of what they would play. The next studio album they do, finally 2008, The News. And it's okay. Production-wise, it's really poor. Going Loco, Day at the Beach, Liar, See Me, Enough Love, Warning, Mean Streets, Road Trip, Gloria, Keep on Traveling, Loggering On, The Gathering, and Dying Breed. I think Ron Leahy retires either after this album or before this album, decides he doesn't want to play anymore. And then in 2011, they released Big Dogs, which is, as far as I'm concerned, another stellar album. Very different. Really, really, really different, but wow. Big Dog's Gonna Howl, Claimed, No Mean Monster, When Jesus Comes to Save the World Again. Fucking amazing. Fucking amazing. Radio, Time and Tide, Lifeboat, The Toast, Watch Your Back, Butterfly, and Sleep Talker. Wow. Amazing, amazing. Danny McCafferty, longtime lead singer, on tour with them. All of a sudden he passes out on a show. They do like one song, two songs, and he passes out. To give him some rest, they try again. He passes out again. Turns out he's got COPD, he's got breathing problems, and he can't tour anymore. So they have to find a new singer. They release their last album in 2014 with Danny McCafferty called Rock and Roll Telephone. It's good. it's good, but you could hear Danny's voice cracking a little bit. Boom, boom, bang, one set of bones, back to before, winter sunlight, rock and roll telephone, punch a hole in the sky, long, long time, the right time, not today, speakeasy, and God of the Mountain, which I think they did for an Austrian ski team or something like that. Prior to that, they actually found another singer, a local guy by the name of Linton Osborne, who I was not impressed with. There's a video online of him singing in a show in Russia, and it's not good. They released some tracks of him singing, and it was not impressive. I'm not a fan of him at all. And then he up and left, and he's actually working with Manny Charlton, and that's where he needs to be. And they partner up with a guy by the name of Carl Sentence, who's played. Carl's one of these guys that played with a lot of different people, like never huge, but you know, he played in like these mid-range bands, but he's a semi-pro guy, where I thought Linton Osborne was purely a bar band guy. Carl is actually a semi-pro dude, and he's a great singer. He's no Dan McCafferty, no one is, but he's new. And they released in 2018 a new album called Tattooed on My Brain. And Never Dance with the Devil, Tattooed on My Brain, which they released a video for, State of Emergency, Rubik's Romance, Pole to Pole, Push, The Secret is Out, Don't Throw Your Love Away, Crazy Molly, Silent Symphony, What Goes Around, Change, and You Call Me. It's a decent outing. I actually think it's a pretty impressive outing. But it takes a little getting used to having a different lead singer for Nazareth. But I recommend it highly. I've seen Nazareth 7 times. First time is in 1993 at the Pelhamwood House in West Seneca. They were, as Blue Oyster Cult, Nazareth, Uriah Heep, and Wishbone Ash. And Poultry and I were like front row for the Nazareth show, and they blew our minds. They opened up with that Higher and Fire and Do You Want to Play House? They were stellar. The next time I saw them was in 97. I saw them on a Wednesday night at Malibu Jacks in Niagara Falls, Ontario. And then on a Thursday night, I went and saw them at Club Denim in Guelph. And I actually, on the Guelph gig, it was great. I went with Feedback Bernie, DJ Gooch, and Sex Martin, Sex Machine. And it took us 40 minutes to get to Guelph, Ontario. After the show, a flash blizzard showed up, and it took us like 4 or 5 hours to get home, driving at about a mile an hour. It was a wild time, but they were great. They were stellar, on point. Saw them in 98, August 24th, 98, with Rick Emmett in Thoreau, Ontario at Front 54. I miss Rick, just got in time to see Nazareth. They slayed. Again, they're always in Canada. They hardly ever play the U.S. unless it's a package tour. The next time I saw them was in August of 2000 and a package tour. Blue Oyster Cult, Todd Rundgren, Nazareth, Joan Jett, Edgar Winter, Rick Derringer in Vernon Downs in Vernon, New York. Then I saw them at the Glen Pavilion in Dunfermline, Scotland. This is where I got this shirt. It's the same shirt I have on my interview. I have it, it should say Black Friday, Homecoming. They're playing in their hometown. They played with Lights Out by 9 at Mustang Sally. I was actually staying at our lighting engineer's house, Ronnie Dalrymple, and it was fantastic. I stayed in their tour bus, which was built as a flight case, and it was great. And to see Nazareth in their hometown was stellar. The last time I saw them was on August 13th, 2004 in Brampton, Ontario at the Matrix nightclub. And that's where I got a chance to film the interview that you're going to go see. And I'm sorry, like I say, with the interview and all that stuff, this is kind of long, so I'm going to cut it short and let the interview do the talking. But I highly recommend you dig into some Nazareth. They're a lot deeper than you think they are. They're more than Love Hurts. They will always be more than Love Hurts. And until the next time, peace, everybody. Enjoy good music.
nothing so good as a Sunday morning when the day is dawning. Kinda makes you feel good. There ain't nothing so fine as a lazy weekend. Just singing out with your best friend.
Okay, we're here from Infinity Music here in Brampton, Ontario, and I'm backstage with the legendary godfathers of heavy metal, is the way I say it here, who have been touring for 35 plus years. Would you please welcome Pete Agnew, on my right, your left, and on my left, your right, lead singer, the king of the Cookie Monster vocals. That's where you kids learn it from. This guy had the screams, Mr. Danny McCaffrey. Gentlemen, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule and your tour here today.
Pleasure. I love your description, actually. You should say more.
Bloody hell. I just got a couple questions with you guys. The way I wanted to focus this interview was you guys have, like I say, have 35 plus years of touring, of playing, and you have a huge discography. And unfortunately, people only know 2 damn songs. So I wanted to take some time off and ask you guys some questions on some, what I felt are some pretty key albums that I think people should really get into. First off, you know, you've been 35 years, and it's pretty much been a consistent lineup. Steve, Daryl, Sweet, who did pass away a couple years ago whilst on tour. Pete, what's it like touring with your son?
That's great. I mean,
You know.
Lee is, my kids have all played since they were very young. And Lee used to actually come out and tour with us when they weren't playing at home themselves. He would come out and drum tech for Daryl. So he used to set his kit up and stuff. So he'd been on tour with us loads of times. And it was just a natural choice, you know, when Daryl died to get the in. And he's a great drummer. I mean, when we're on the road, I mean, we have more like a musician to musician relationship rather than dad, you know. Unless he needs money, then you know.
That's what dads are for. Did you not know that?
Then that's different. But I mean, I've got none of us have got any problems with it.
The thing is, we tour so much, man. Like, we see each other at night. During the day, you don't really see each other, you know.
No, you don't.
Because, you know, you're running around doing different things and talking to different people and blah, blah, blah. So you kind of meet up at night again, you know, and go, hey, lads, and then play the show. And then you have a beer or two on the bus and you hit the next place and then crashes out and you meet each other at night again. So
That's the first time I saw him today, when I walked in here.
No, I spoke
when
to
we
him
check
today.
in the hotel and when we come out the hotel to play. Sometimes we go down and have a beer.
you and I maybe, but the rest of the guys don't really.
No.
By the way, for our dear viewers and listeners who are watching this, if you aren't really up on your Pfeiffer, do not worry, we are having this interview subtitled.
Yes.
Just so you can catch that here
So
for
you can tell
everyone
what we're seeing.
who's outside of that little area at Dunfermline there, the hometown, or Sinkies for that matter, which I just found out your stage manager's brother owns.
That's right.
And that was my first show ever in the UK, was at Sinkies with the Falcons as my backup band.
Is it really?
And I slept in your tour bus
Oh,
at
right.
Ronnie Dalrymple's
At Ronnie
house.
D's.
Oh, right, yeah.
Right.
Cool.
So this is, see, it's all come through all full circle. So now you guys are road. You're currently on the road again, and you're constantly on the road. And you know, we'll take the first of the albums that I want to talk about. It was 1976's Close Enough for Rock and Roll, and it seems to be a song littered. I mean, Telegram, the title track, Homesick Again, it is littered with the weariness of the road. What was it like when you wrote that
At
album?
that time, you got to remember at that time, the record companies demanded that you give them a record every year, and it was in the contract. So it was like when you do a record and do 200 shows and do another record, and you're like, what? So you just lived in airports. It was really bizarre, but that was just how the game was played back then, you know. So that
The
was.
thing is, like, when
We've always kind of wrote about what we know, and we usually do it a bit tongue in cheek as well. Like,
I was going to say, Close Enough for Rock and Roll. I mean, the track Telegram. I remember getting a review from some English newspapers on, you know, these guys are complaining about the life, and it's like, no, you're not seeing, this is supposed to be funny. It's like that, you know, we're saying it like that. You know, it's a tongue-in-cheek song, but obviously this guy didn't have the brains to understand that, you know. We're not going to
And we don't care what the fish grabbed echo says.
It's a very interesting dark album. You know what I'm saying? Even the cover, which was a Hypnosis cover of you guys all sitting in the back of the limousine with people's faces pressed in. It's really it is tongue in cheek, but it also has a burning reality
It has
to
got a
it.
message. I mean, it's like, you know, like your life isn't your own anymore.
Nice.
Once you get famous in this game, then you don't have a private life as such, you know. It's like people are in your face about something every day. And, you know, that comes with the tough.
So we're going to go to fast forward to 1980 when you released an album called Malice in Wonderland.
Yeah.
A very California sound. You had Jeff Skunk Baxter produce that album. And it's just a wonderful, wonderful album. Actually, you still do like 3 of the songs on this tour, or on your current tours from that album, Hearts Grown Cold, obviously Holiday, and I think you were doing Big Boy.
No, we don't do that.
We're not doing them this time.
Well, what was it like with that album? I mean, it was really a coordinated pop effort in a way.
It was Zal had just joined the band, did the album before.
Yeah.
And that was the music we were writing. That was the songs we were writing, and we've always kind of went with that. Like we were writing stuff.
It was Jeff Baxter sort of went for a mellower sort of sound, you know. And at the time we didn't know, well, you know, will our fans like this? But then when we started making the album, we started to like it. You know, we were going like, I like this, you know, it's a change. Yeah. And that's the thing that's kept the band going. Is if you have a change, you know.
It's very healthy. You guys progress.
You know, I can
try different things, you know. Well, I'm a record fan. I mean, I buy albums, and if you get like Razamanaz, for instance, you know, if the next album's Son of Razamanaz, it's kind of lose interest. Well, I do anyway. So you've got to credit the fans with the same, you know, tiny brain cells that I've got.
Well,
so you know,
when we did like Love Hurts, you know, the record company immediately come to you and say, "Can you do another one like that?" I said, "Well, no, really, you know, that's not what we're about. You know, that was that, and that was then. This is now." You know?
I mean, Hearts Grown Cold I think blows Love Hurts out of the water. Because you guys hit that dead on. I mean, I feel the pain. You know, it's just some great stuff. I mean,
yeah, we used to feel the pain singing it every night as well. Let me tell you.
Off there, of course, you did Full Circle, and then you did a live album, and you know, came out on real powerful album, real powerful tour. And I think right after that, you hit the best pop album of all time, which is 2XS. You know, you came out, and I see you're doing Love Leads to Madness on this tour, which has been a long time coming to get that song out. And Dream On, which you've been doing consistently on these tours. What was it like? Was this heavily influenced by Billy Rankin's writing?
At the time, everybody was writing. I mean, I think Dan and I did 2, Billy did 2 or 3, Manny did 2 or 3, and then the rest were done together. It was funny, the 2 albums you were talking about there, Close Enough for Rock and Roll and 2XS, they were both recorded in Canada. Close Enough was in outside of Montreal, Warren Heights, and that one was in 2XS was in Vancouver. Little Mountain Studio.
What was it like recording 2XS?
Again, it was a case of this is what we wanted to do. This was the songs that.
Oh no, 2XS. I was thinking Single Elixir. 2XS. We did that in Montserrat.
That was in Montserrat.
Montserrat. That's it. Yeah. That was John Punter.
John Punter did that one. Now we'll move on to your only album with MCA, which I have a strange story to tell you about. Which is this album I think is a masterpiece, which is 1983 Sound Elixir. I saw you guys in Guelph on November 13th, 1997, which is today, Friday the 13th. There we are. It's a special hoo-ah. And funny story, we made it to Guelph from Buffalo in 90 minutes. After your show at Club Denham, there was a flash blizzard. It took us 5.5 hours to get home, listening to Sound Elixir the whole way, and I turned my friends out of this album. I think it's a fascinating album. It's a really strange album. It's your only album for MCA.
That's right.
What was the story with that one? I love that album, and it's a really...
There was changes going on at that point. You know, we had this stuff that we liked, and we were doing it a certain way, and we weren't too sure exactly which way to turn, you know. And I think that was the album that was another door opening, you know. Like, we'll do this, and then the next time we'll do something else, you know what I mean?
Also, I remember we were in that Little Mountain Studios, they had nothing in the way of relaxation. So all you did was work on the album all the time because there was nothing else to do there, you know. So we kind of probably worked. Probably put in more hours on that than I did in anything else. You know?
Oh, heavens to Betsy! You know,
that's what you do.
You know, it never got a proper British release or U.S. release for years, and finally it is remastered on CD. I highly recommend you pick it up, just on the pure sake of just a damn good album. I want to go to the first time I saw you guys live, which was on a tour, which was like a very strong, as far as I'm concerned, a power comeback album for you guys, a power album, which was 1992's No Jive.
Yeah.
I saw you guys on a package tour at Blue Oyster Cult, Uriah Heep, and Wishbone Ash. You guys played, I'll never forget this, you guys played at a place in Cheektowaga. It was like a banquet hall, believe it or not. And Pete gets out there and goes, "Hello, fucking Cheektowaga," or is it Bloody Buffaloes? And you know, you have these teeth that come out here like this, you know. You guys opened up with Higher and Fire, and the second song you did was Do You Want to Play House? That's a fantastic album.
Well, what happened with that album was we recorded it in Germany, and there was an English guy, who was an engineer, who was a total dolt. He was useless. So basically what we did is we used to just send him to go and buy us beers and stuff. And we actually engineered Billy. In fact, Billy engineered the album. You know, we were actually, we used to just record. It was just the four of us in the studio. We didn't even have an engineer. We just took over the desk ourselves and we recorded it on our own. So it was really quite good fun, wasn't it? You know, because we were doing all the mixing.
What was a lesson we learned for that is, like, don't overdo things. Because we didn't technically know how to do certain stuff, we just went, well, let's just play it better. We won't have to do it twice, and we just play it better the first time. You know? So we kind of learned, like, if you get it right live off the floor, the album's going to sound good.
That album is strong.
I enjoyed making that album.
The material is strong. I really wish you'd bring some of that, you know, I'm so glad when I saw this set list, you open up a Changing Times, not faking it, and doing so many rare stuff, Teenage Nervous Breakdown. You guys should be like the Grateful Dead and change your set list every night. You could, but we couldn't even remember that.
We're at a funny age right now, you know, you forget stuff.
When we actually have a week off, I've got to sit down with the bass and run through the set again, just to remind myself, you know.
Before I go beyond on that album, about your bass, I was going to ask you a question. You've had that same bass for years.
I bought that in Canada as well. I bought it up when it was Modern Heights. There was a store in Montreal, Toronto, I can't remember. I wanted an Alembic. I saw them and I wanted one. They sent me up 3 to try out, and I picked that thing up, and it was just like, it's like playing a Fender Strat. It's for a bass you wouldn't believe what it feels like. So it's just been with me forever, you know. I mean, it's a fantastic guitar, you know?
It's beautiful. It's broken about 3 times.
I mean, it's been smashed to bits. Like, I mean, now the actual front of it, you know, the actual whole, what it looks like, that's all the original stuff is rotted away. That's a new front of it, you know. It's a bit like...
so I think what he's actually got is the pickups.
Maybe the strings, you know.
The only original thing there is the guy that's playing it.
Pretty much, you know.
That's a great day.
That's seen a bit of the world, that one.
The final album I wanted to talk about on this interview, and I want to read a little bit of a review from allmusic.com about this album, which was originally going to be called N. And,
that's right.
And I remember you guys doing God Save the South before, you know, had released that album with such vim and vigor. This infuriated the hell out of me. The guy writes in allmusic.com, well past their mid-1970s prime, Nazareth is running on little more than fumes circa Boogaloo. While the band's sound hasn't changed much since their heyday, their songs are just too uninspired to be of any interest to anyone outside of a few diehards. Which is like shit sandwich. You
know what's the real bummer about that is because, like, if you ask any guy in the band what's the favourite album they ever did, it's
Boogaloo. It's the most, I mean, Lights Come Down, which you still open with, and a lot of times you did on your live stuff, not on this tour. I mean, God Save the South is power balls. I remember seeing you sing that, and you are just leering at the audience.
We absolutely loved doing that.
Nothing so good.
Nothing so good.
That's one of my favorite songs.
Jimmy wrote that.
And his guitar playing is such his guitar, and especially that intro in that song. It's fantastic.
Well, the album, we did it in a little live-in studio, an old mansion house. We're still best of friends with the guy. We've been in there several times actually, to do other things.
A guy called Dan Priest, he's actually produced a few albums.
Dan mixed that because we mixed the album and we didn't like it. And then we went back and then Dan, who owned the studio, said, let me have a go at this. And we went, right. So we went down for another couple of weeks, added a couple of bit guitar, and then he remixed it, and it was just... That's better than it was before, you know.
Just the playing on it's great, I think. I mean, I think all the boys, you know, just played their hearts out.
It's you know, to say that you guys are running on fumes. Oh, these guys died years ago. No, they're putting out product that they'll knock your dick in the dirt.
But you know what it's like when you do it. It's like
these guys get bored with their job, man. Yeah. Most of them don't like music anyway, or they like a type of music. You know, so it's like a rock album, I hate rock albums. Right?
But when you're recording, you've done so many albums. I mean, people, they come through a stage in their life where they bought Hair of the Dog. That was their kind of music then.
Yeah.
Then you go into something else, then, well, that's maybe no, and they've got enough of your albums, that kind of thing. You know, it's like the band. I mean, the band, we've got everything they ever made. Little Feet have got everything they ever made. But there's not any other group in the world that have got everything they ever made. You know, you buy so many, say, well, that's enough, you know. I mean, Black Sabbath could come out with the best album in the world. I wouldn't know, because I wouldn't be playing it. You know,
it's called
you know what I'm saying? So, that was like, well, that was the last one we did in the studio, and actually.
And what is new? What's on the back burners for Nazareth? What is anything new?
Hopefully in the studio and the new year.
New year.
There's so much stuff lying around. I mean, everybody's been writing like crazy, and there's like just songs everywhere. So
New. You heard it here on Infinity Music First. Hopefully, starting the new year.
I'd really love to get in and do something.
Well, it's time we got in. See, the problem is these days as well, with all the downloading and the bootlegging. I mean, the worst thing that ever happened to the music business was the invention of the CD, because they can do a perfect copies. You know, a bootleg used to be a bootleg, you know. Is this guy for real? Who is this guy?
That's your mama.
Oh, no, you out. Why is he in my dressing room?
No, ladies and gentlemen, you just witnessed something beautiful.
There you go. It's only rock and roll, but I like it. That was perfect.
Oh, that's a John Cage piece if I ever heard one.
It's perfect.
No, but the headliners are here.
Who is this guy?
You were saying about the CDs was the worst invention God ever.
Oh well, it killed the music business. It's killed the music business. That's what you see.
But you think so? Because I mean,
Sure. Well, what you can do is you can ask the 1,800 people that got paid off from Sony, the 2,000 people that got paid off from the record company EMI. Everybody's got, because they don't sell records anymore. Because everybody just gets. We go to Russia, we're playing there. With Boogaloo, we probably did something like I think we did something in the region of 2.5 million copies of Boogaloo. You know how much we got paid? Everyone's a bootleg. Everyone's a bootleg.
We got told by the Russian MCPS people, this guy said, you know, on a conservative estimate, this is sold 5 or 6 million albums here. We've not got a cent for you, buddy.
We're all bootlegs. We're all downloads and bootlegs. So before the CD, a bootleg used to sound like a bootleg. Not now.
People went, this sucks, and they buy the real thing. But nowadays,
I was in the local pub, Sinkies, that you're talking about, a couple of years back, and a guy came in with a little bag with 50 of, it was the Stones' 40 greatest licks. The guy came in, £4 each, guys, and all these guys at the bar are buying it. I said, wait a minute, whoa, you know, these are bootlegs, you know? But everybody's buying it. These guys that I know, and I like these guys, they're going, I'm getting it for £4, I'm buying it.
As opposed to 15, or 12. You know?
Oh, it's a damn shame, you know, with you guys re-releasing a lot of your stuff. I mean, I paid cash on it. I know it sucks, you know, because I got all the remasters, I got all that.
See, the thing is, we can survive it. We can survive it. A lot of young bands, it's killing them.
It's killing them. The young band can't get a chance to record because the record company doesn't want to take on, you know, they might not get their money back. Nowadays, people are making fewer records because they want it. So it's killed, you know, guys like yourself, and they go like, well, you're going to make an album, how many are you going to sell? That's what the record company wants to know. So they go like, well, it's not time to do it yet, you know, because you get bootlegged. You know, that's it. So all these punters that are buying the bootlegs, let me tell you folks, you're going to hear no new music because of it.
It's true. That's it. I mean, it doesn't really, no, it does affect us obviously.
Heavy word. Listen to what they're saying.
No, it's true though.
Bootleggers are killing the industry.
Yeah,
man.
like young bands cannot get signed because the industry's flying. You know?
And you know what? The saddest part about it, a lot of them don't know how to play live. You guys at least can get in the bus and play forever, you know?
Yeah, of course. That's what I'm saying. We'll always make a living, but a lot of these young bands that are trying to get a start, you know, they're not getting anywhere because they just can't get signed and they've got jobs and they try to do 2 things at once and they get frustrated and, you know.
Danny, Pete, thank you so much for being with us here at Infinity Music. Greatly appreciated. We'll be front row for this show. And you know what, guys? Keep playing, keep doing it. I'll tell you what, if I'm the only guy buying them, you know what I'm saying? Do it for me.
Just send you one.
Yeah, just send me one. You know? Just send you one. You know what I'm saying? So greatly appreciate it, gentlemen. Thank you so much. Cheers.
Cheers.
My name is Dan McCavery, I'm the singer with Nazareth, and this is...
Pete Agnew, the bass player with Nazareth.
And you logged on to Infinity Music. What a sensible person you are.